Alright folks, buckle up. We're about to embark on a wild ride through the realm of international diplomacy, where reality often feels stranger than fiction. Tonight, we're diving headfirst into a scenario so ludicrous, so utterly bonkers, that it could only be the product of international diplomacy, a global timeout for Israel and Palestine. Imagine a world where every nation decides to collectively ghost these two countries. Picture it. No more strongly worded letters from the UN, no more sternly worded tweets from world leaders with their avatars at half-mast. Just radio silence. Crickets. The world, in unison, decides to give Israel and Palestine the silent treatment. The sound of Netanyahu and Abbas both yelling into the void at the same time, their voices echoing into the emptiness with no one responding, no one listening. It's a surreal image, isn't it? Now you might be thinking, John, that's insane. Nobody would ever do that. And you'd be right, it's far too simple and frankly effective a solution for anyone in international relations to ever consider. The complexities of global politics often prevent such straightforward actions. But for the sake of argument, let's say the world finally decided to employ the ultimate passive-aggressive tactic. What happens next? Would the silence force them to reflect, to reconsider their actions? Or would it lead to further chaos and confusion? Well, hold on to your hummus, folks, because things are about to get messy. The absence of international intervention could lead to unexpected consequences, both good and bad. It's a gamble, a high-stakes game of diplomatic poker. And in this game, the stakes are incredibly high. Let's start with the economic fallout, because, well, money talks, or in this case, dramatically stops talking. The Israeli stock market has taken a nosedive, sending shockwaves through the global financial community. Israel, the self-proclaimed startup nation, suddenly finds itself cut off from global markets. This isolation is a massive blow to its tech industry, which thrives on international collaboration and investment. Remember that killer app you were using? Yeah, no more updates. Developers are scrambling to find new ways to distribute their software, but the road ahead looks uncertain. And it's not just apps. The ripple effects are being felt across various sectors. Remember those cherry tomatoes everyone loves? Turns out a lot of those were coming from Israeli greenhouses. Now, with trade barriers in place, those tomatoes are nowhere to be found. Turns out even cutting-edge agricultural tech needs someone to sell tomatoes to. Who knew? Farmers are left with produce they can't export, leading to significant waste and financial loss. Meanwhile, in Palestine, things are, as usual, more complicated. The economic instability in Israel has a cascading effect on its neighbors. Reliant on foreign aid and struggling with poverty, the situation goes from dire to look, we're out of adjectives, okay? The humanitarian crisis deepens as resources become scarcer. It's the humanitarian equivalent of your friend who's always borrowing $5, suddenly needing a 5-figure loan. The financial strain is palpable and the dependency on aid grows ever more critical. Economic hardship, as we all know, doesn't exactly foster a peaceful kumbaya singing environment. When people can't afford basic necessities, tensions rise and the social fabric begins to fray. Imagine the most intense family Thanksgiving dinner you've ever attended, now multiply that by several million, add some geopolitical tension and sprinkle in a dash of economic instability. What you get is a recipe for societal meltdown, where every small disagreement can escalate into a full-blown crisis. In Israel, you've got protests in the streets, political instability hotter than a falafel fresh out of the fryer, and a government struggling to maintain control. There's a sudden surge in people claiming to have the one weird trick to fix the situation. Spoiler alert, it involves blaming the other side. Politicians and pundits alike are quick to point fingers, but solutions remain elusive. Meanwhile, in Palestine, the situation is equally dire. Already grappling with internal divisions, the society faces increased pressure from both within and outside its borders. Extremist groups, they love a good crisis. It's like a recruitment drive where they don't even need to print pamphlets. They exploit the chaos, offering simple answers to complex problems and drawing in those who feel they have no other options. But amidst the turmoil, there are also stories of resilience and solidarity. Communities coming together to support one another, proving that even in the darkest times, hope can still shine through. With official borders closed tighter than a drum, the black market throws a rave. And by rave, I mean a terrifying surge in arms smuggling, because nothing says desperate times like a flood of AK-47s hitting the streets. Meanwhile, people aren't exactly keen on sticking around for this dystopian block party. Cue the refugee crisis, folks. Imagine the human equivalent of that scene in Ratatouille where all the rats flee the restaurant. Except in this version, There's no heartwarming ending with Remy cooking a delicious meal, just a whole lot of human misery and suffering. While a complete global isolation of Israel and Palestine might be intended to force a resolution, it would likely lead to severe economic, political, and humanitarian crises in the region, with wide-ranging and unpredictable consequences for both local populations and the broader international community. The potential for increased violence and instability, both regionally and globally, makes such an approach highly risky and ethically questionable. If you found this video insightful, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. Your support helps us create more content like this. Thank you for watching.